The first word sliced through the night like a blade. "Don't talk, don't move, not if you want to live." A woman's breath caught in her throat. Her police badge gleamed faintly under the harsh glow of the street lamp, but in this moment, authority was stripped away. She stood cornered, weapon holstered, her hands raised. A man in the shadows pressed a trembling hand against his pocket, where the outline of a blade twitched like a coiled snake. The alley smelled of rust and rain, the air heavy with the promise of violence. And no one moved. Not even the homeless man across the street, slouched against the crumbling wall, his hood pulled low. He had been invisible to the world for years. Tonight, invisibility would become his greatest weapon. He was known only as Thomas, though few ever bothered to ask. His beard was tangled, his coat ripped at the seams. To most passers-by, he was nothing more than a shadow among garbage bags, another forgotten soul, drifting through the cracks of a city that had stopped caring. But behind his silence lay a life once drenched in purpose. Thomas had once marched across deserts, boots sinking into sand that swallowed dreams. He had once stood shoulder to shoulder with brothers who never came home. The taste of gunpowder still haunted him. The cries of the fallen still echoed when he closed his eyes. Nights on the street were not his punishment, they were his survival. He had given everything once, and when he returned, the world gave him nothing back. The city was unkind to men like him. Mothers shielded their children's eyes as he passed. Store owners tightened their grip on their purses. Strangers whispered, drunk, lazy, dangerous. They never saw the metals he pawned for food. They never heard the silence he kept for those who couldn't speak again. Tonight, silence was his strength. The woman officer Elena kept her voice calm, steady, though fear rippled beneath her ribs. She had walked this beat countless nights, but tonight fate had guided her into a trap. The man before her was desperate, eyes wild, cornered by debts unseen. His threats spilled into the empty street, his words a jagged storm meant to break her composure. And the people nearby? They turned away. A couple hurried across the street, pretending not to notice. A man at the bus stop buried his face in his phone. Silence was complicity, and fear had caged them all. But Thomas saw everything. The tremor in the assailant's hand, the sweat dripping into his collar, the bulge in his pocket. Not just a knife, but something heavier, something wrapped in fabric, wires poking loose. He recognized the signs instantly. He had seen men hide explosives the same way in villages half a world away. His pulse slowed, his breath evened. He did not panic. The world had forgotten who he was. But war had not. Elena, the man sneered, reading her name from the badge. "One more word from you, and you're gone." But she never spoke. Her training told her to de-escalate, to buy time. Yet time was running out. The device was crude but deadly. Thomas knew it. He could almost hear the ticking, even if there was none. He shifted slightly in the shadows. His body ached with hunger, his joints stiff from sleeping on stone, but his instincts lit up like fire. He remembered his commander's words from long ago. Courage doesn't shout. Sometimes it whispers through silence. And so Thomas did not cry out. He did not beg. He simply rose. The assailant did not notice at first. No one ever noticed Thomas. He was a ghost in rags. But Elena's eyes flicked sideways for the briefest second, and she saw him. Not fully, just the outline of a man standing straighter than his clothing suggested. A shiver of hope passed through her, though she dared not show it. Thomas moved with the precision of a soldier long trained in patience. Every step was calculated. He circled wide, keeping to the shadows, his eyes locked on the pocket where the wires protruded. The crowd that had gathered now, silent witnesses unwilling to act, watched with wide eyes, whispering, uncertain. For once, their silence was not cruelty. It was awe. The assailant's voice rose, jagged with panic. He barked again, louder, "Don't talk." His rage fractured into desperation, his grip faltering. And in that single heartbeat, Thomas struck. He lunged not with fists, but with the practiced control of a man who had disarmed threats in places far darker than this alley. His hand clamped the assailant's wrist, twisting it downward, pinning the blade before it could flash. His other hand reached into the pocket, yanking free the crude device. Wires snapped beneath his grip. A gasp rippled through the onlookers. Elena's weapon was out in an instant, trained on the assailant, who now trembled under Thomas's unyielding silence. The man struggled, cursed, demanded. But Thomas did not speak. He only stared, his eyes sharp as broken glass. The weight of his silence crushed the man harder than any words could. When officers arrived moments later, it was Thomas who handed them the weapon. It was Thomas who dropped the broken device onto the pavement. And it was Thomas who turned away, ready to slip back into the night, unseen once more. But Elena's voice stopped him. Her voice cracked with something deeper than gratitude. "Wait, who are you?" Thomas paused. He did not give his name. He did not claim glory. Instead, he left her with words that would burn in memory. "Some battles don't end. We just carry them, quietly." And then he walked away. The crowd stood in silence, heads bowed not in fear but in reverence. The man they once dismissed as broken had become their shield. They saw not rags, but armor invisible. They saw not a homeless man, but a soldier who never stopped serving. Later, the story spread through the city of the man who said little, but did everything. And a phrase born that night began to echo. Respect the silence. It often belongs to those who've already sacrificed the most. Thomas disappeared back into the labyrinth of the streets. No reward chased him, no medals pinned his chest. But Elena carried the weight of his actions in her heart forever. And each night she patrolled those same streets. She left an extra cup of coffee near the alley wall. Sometimes it vanished by morning, sometimes it did not. But she always hoped he took it. Heroes don't always roar. Sometimes they whisper through silence, through scars, through dignity too deep for words. And maybe that is the greatest strength of all. Viewers, what do you think of Thomas's choice to remain silent, even when the world had abandoned him? Does his silence feel like strength or sorrow? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that honor the unseen battles of silent heroes. Because sometimes, the ones who speak least carry the heaviest truths.